Arizona basketball is here, my friends, and Big 12 play is here. What do you need to know as the Wildcats get started for a big venture?
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, this show is brought to you today by FanDuel. Check it out, FanDuel, great stuff. You put down $5, you can win $250 in free plays if that bet hits. It is that simple, that easy. You got to be a new customer, though. You know the drill. Check it out, FanDuel. All right, now, Arizona basketball is here, ladies and gentlemen. It is here. Big 12 season is here. Now, listen, this was obviously a terrible out-of-conference schedule for Arizona basketball and how this all played out. I don't think that anybody would sit here and dispute any of that. It was bad. No way around it. It was bad. The only thing that I will say, though, is that once you got into, I believe it was Maui, you start talking and you start looking at it, and things weren't really that bad. Because, again, the losses were very frustrating, but they were all close losses. Then you look at UCLA, and again, I firmly believe, if you're looking at Arizona's out of conference, it's an F. So we start from there. But trying to find a glimmer of hope. And I think a big part of it, too, is that you look at it and you're like, all right, well, what is the next, with UCLA? For example, UCLA is a perfect example that Arizona, is kind of in control of that game and basically just let it slip away. And that was without Caleb Love playing well. This whole season, this entire Big 12 play, this is all going to this entire situation is going to come down to Caleb Love. If Caleb Love is an All-American, Caleb Love is going to be, Arizona's going to be a lot better. There's nobody on this roster like Caleb Love. There's just not. And you could say that's good, that's bad. You could say whatever the case you want, but that's just true. There is nobody like Caleb Love. There's nobody that can create a shot. There's nobody that can just go crazy and bananas and start scoring 40 points. There's just nobody like that. So we start with that baseline. In the last two games, Caleb Love looked like he was back to his I don't give a you-know-what, and I want to get going here. So there's obviously that. The other thing, too, that I think you need to look at and you need to really kind of understand is where is Arizona then now when it comes to where is Arizona now when it comes to the Big 12, and what do you need from these players? Now, you look at the first couple games; these are winnable games. It's not like it's not like you're going into Lawrence in the first game or something, or Hilton in the first game. But these are some winnable games. At first, you got TCU, and TCU they're banged up. Obviously, Frankie Collins is out for the season with a broken foot. Frankie Collins is a good basketball player. There's no other way around it. Frankie Collins can play, as some kids say, they know ball. Frankie Collins is good at ball. Defensively, very, very good. And offensively, not the most efficient player, but somebody that I think is fairly, how do I put this? He can do enough. How about that? He can do enough. So there's obviously that. Now, the other thing that I think you really, really need to look at is where exactly too is where exactly is Arizona basketball when it comes to Arizona basketball then when it comes to where the Big 12 is and all of this stuff. And I think that we got to go position by position. The first one is Jaden Bradley. Jaden Bradley is exactly what Arizona needs. Jaden Bradley is exactly what Arizona needs in Big 12 play. This is the best point guard of the entire era of Tommy Lloyd, and he's a stud. There's no way around it. He is a total stud. Defensively, he's fantastic. He's about as good as there is in college basketball, and he is not only is he about as good as there is on in college basketball, he's also I think he's an underrated scorer. The one thing I would like to see him do, though, is I would like to see him actually try to get to the try to shoot more. I think, listen, he's obviously hesitant about his 3-point shot, but I would like to see him. I would like to see him be able to get to the point where you're open to take it. I mean, he's been a timely shooter in the past. Not only has he been a timely shooter in the past, he's been somebody that is, has been that's been good. There's really no other way around it. He's been good. But he hasn't shot enough. But when he's in flow and he's in rhythm, he's made it. Look at Clemson, for example. Clemson's a perfect example in that, he wasn't necessarily, when he was in rhythm, he was shooting it. That's what I would like to see from him. When you got the ball, when you are in rhythm, go ahead and shoot the freaking basketball. That is it. That is it. That is it. Okay, with Caleb Love, I don't give a heck, Caleb Love back. I will live gladly with the 3 for 18 shooting performances, because guess what? I also know that there's going to be an 11 of 24 one in there where he's dropping 38 points. But just getting the 3 for 9, the neutered Caleb Love, that ain't doing anything for anyone. And I think that that's something that, that's just something that I think just quite frankly isn't good enough. You got to unleash Caleb Love. You got to be able to do what Caleb Love does, because that's what makes him unique. We talked about it. There's nobody else on the roster like Caleb Love. They need him to be an All-American. They need him to be what he was last year for most of the season. And if that's the case, then he's going to be an All-American again. This is where it's at, though. This is his swan song. This is where he's at. This is where you got to be able to really kind of make your bones. I'm excited to see what Caleb Love does here. Maybe I'll end up being wrong, but I am a big Caleb Love fan. Not only am I a big Caleb Love fan, I'm the guy who I watch him and I'm like, man, there's like I said, I just like players that wear their emotions on their sleeves. I don't like the dull Caleb Love. I don't want any of that. I want somebody who is just ready to rock and roll. And then KJ Lewis is another one. KJ Lewis, I think a big part of this season and Arizona's struggles with KJ is KJ trying to be somebody that he's not. KJ Lewis he's never going to be that prototype shooting guard, Mitch Richmond type. He's just not that dude. He's just never going to have that handle or that shot. But what he can do is he can finish around the hoop. He can play defense. He can be energy. He can be around the ball. He's got a unique ability, and we've talked about this many, many times, to be able to be around the ball, to be able to, get to where he needs to on the court. And but he's just, like I said, that's going to be his ticket to the NBA, is being a hustle dude, is being somebody that is that's being a hustle guy, that's kind of can get to where finish around the basket, be defense, be that glue, kind of like what Jaden Bradley is in a different way. That's what you need from him, though. And if you can get that from him, then I think Arizona is going to be in really good shape. But that is what you've got to get. The perimeter has to be one of the better perimeters in college basketball. There's just no other way around it. The perimeter just has to be the perimeter. I don't know what else to say. It just has to be the perimeter. And it's got to be one of the better ones in the country, because the front court is incredibly limited, as we are about to talk about. The problem with the front court is that you just have a lot of guys that are, how do I put this? Well, you know what? That's called a tease. Why don't we get into that in just a second? But first, Rocket Money, my friends, Rocket Money. Okay, here's the deal with Rocket Money. For me, one of the best with Rocket Money, did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me, seriously. And I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for. Everybody knows that when you're looking through your bank and you're like, wait a second, I canceled this like 2 years ago, or I didn't even know I had it. And Rocket Money made it easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Okay, now, cool. Here's the deal. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon, rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Again, here's the deal. You can cancel your unwanted subscriptions today. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Again, all kinds of really, really good stuff there. Check it out. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the front court. Listen, one guy that I was definitely wrong on, and I'm going to continue to probably be wrong on, is Trey Tonwsend. Trey Tonwsend is I looked at Trey Tonwsend probably naively. I know. It won't be the last time I'm wrong. And I just thought, this is a player that put up big numbers against big teams. And honestly, in hindsight, I don't know how he did. I don't know how he put up the rebounding numbers that he did against good teams because he's not very good as far as rebounding. And the thing about it, too, is that he doesn't really box out. He doesn't really go after the ball. I mean, again, I don't know how he had the rebounding numbers against good teams that he did. And it's just kind of odd. He just doesn't do it for whatever reason. And the other problem, too, that I didn't know is that he's a turnover machine. If he gets the ball and he dribbles it once or twice, it's going away. It's always something where it's being kicked off his foot or, just something where it's like, this isn't good. I think that's the part that's a little bit frustrating about Trey Tonwsend. Okay, now the other thing that I think that we need to look at, though, is can he get better? And there are some things. He can finish around the hoop all right. I thought that he was going to try to shoot some threes. That's obviously not been the case. But if he's going to play, he's got to average 13 or 14 a game at least, because he's not really out there for his defense and he's not really out there for his rebounding. He's got to score 13, 14 a game to make it worthwhile. Otherwise, you just have to have somebody else in there. Now, Tobe Awaka gets beat up a lot, and I get it because, he's kind of clunky. He's definitely not an NBA player, but he's a monster rebounder. He's one of the best offensive rebounders you're going to see. And again, if he plays 40 minutes, he might score 3 points, but he also might have 23 rebounds. So there's obviously that. But the thing that I'm looking at, though, when I think about Tobe Awaka is, can you become better around the basket? And I think that's just kind of the concern. I don't know that he can become better around the basket. He gets lost defensively sometimes. He's fine if you have another big man that's really, really good, kind of buoying that. But there's really none of that. So we'll see how that does play out. But I think the one thing that is exciting, though, about all of this is I think we're also kind of to the point, too, where you do know for a fact that he's going to try hard and he's going to get rebounds. That's why I kind of like it more than Trey Tonwsend, even though he's totally different. So that's kind of what you need from your front court. Now, when it comes to the bench to me is going to be very fascinating. And again, I put KJ Lewis in the starting lineup just because I think the minutes will be there. I'm probably not going to start. But I look at the bench, though, and the bench to me is going to be huge. And we got to start with Delly. Listen, one guy that I was right on. I like Delly. I think Delly is a good basketball player. Delly can shoot threes. Delly is not a good defensive player. I don't think there's definitely no doubt about that. But Delly is a spacer. People should like Delly because Delly is a spacer. And he looks like somebody, too, and I like players like this, that shot didn't go in. Oh, well, the next shot is going in. I like guys like that. Delly to me is a fun player. Is he going to be out of place playing 30 minutes per game? Yes. But if he's playing 17 to 18 minutes per game, yes, I'm fine with that, especially, too, because he's looking to get his. I like players that are looking to get theirs. That, to me, is an exciting aspect of all of this. So there's obviously that. Now, Delhi though, just in Delhi, you're paid to shoot, bro. You're paid to go in there and you're paid to shoot the basketball. So do it, and 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 do it. Delhi though, I like Delhi. I understand his limitations, but I think Delhi can be very useful. Okay, now the next one that we need to talk about here, where I think it's very interesting, very very interesting, is let's talk a little bit then about Carter Bryant. Listen, Carter Bryant has not set the world on fire, obviously, but Carter Bryant's got to play. He's the most talented player on the roster. He's got to be able to play through mistakes, just like other players are allowed to play through mistakes. And because, again, other Southern California people look at it and they're like, that's just kind of the way it is. You need him to be able to play through his mistakes. He's long. He can shoot the ball a little bit. He's rangy. I think you're definitely going to get a second year out of him, but in order to get that second year, you got to play him, and that's where. And I think that by the end of the season, he's going to be somebody that is going to be fast tracked with where all of this is going in with Arizona and what they need to do. But he's got to play and he's got to be effective, and I think by the end of the year, you're hoping that you got the best Carter Bryant. Then Henry. Henry to me is U of A's best real big man. I don't know how else to say it. Henry to me is better than Krivas. Maybe Krivas was hurt. I don't know what the deal was. Maybe whatever the case may be. But the problem with Henry though is that Krivas is that Krivas can't move. And he's just kind of a stiff. I mean, he can do some things, but Henry's actually got a little bit of spunk to his game. He can block some shots. He's way more quick twitch. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say that Henry Vasar is an NBA player, but Henry has shown me something. He's playing stronger. He's playing more physical. I like all of those aspects about Mr. Henry Vasar. Big fan of what he's been able to do so far, and we'll see how it continues. But I just need Henry to block shots, rebounds, and finish around the hoop. That's pretty much it. If he does that, then I'm going to be okay with everything. But again, he gives you a little bit of flexibility too because he's long. That's the cool thing about it. He's long and he can block shots. Another guy that's long and can block shots, Emmanuel Steven. I like E-Man. E-Man is the man. E-Man. With him too, another guy, I think he's got to be able to play through his mistakes a little bit. He's got an infectious energy. He really does. You watch him and you're like, woo, that's some cool stuff right there. And he can, he's somebody too that I think is probably a year away from being really good. But I was impressed. I know they're burning his red shirt, and if you're going to burn his red shirt, you got to play him. Again, I'm not saying playing 25 minutes per game, but I'm saying that you've got to play him. And if you play him, then obviously you're going to be in fairly good shape if he's able to work through some of the stuff that he's got to work through. I like him, though. I'm impressed by him. Think that he's a player that's got some real potential to him. We'll find out how exactly that does all play out. But so far, pretty good, like I said, pretty good performance, and he's somebody too that is oozing with the proverbial upside. I like that aspect to him a great deal. He's so we're going to find that one out, exactly how that does play out. And then the other one too, Conrad Martinez. I would love to be wrong on Conrad, and it looks like, Conrad's definitely the best passer on the team. He's definitely somebody that is the best at getting guys involved, getting players in there, doing what they want to do, all of that stuff. He's like I said, he's just a really, really good basketball player. The problem is he's 5'2". And I think in the Big 12, that's going to be somewhat concerning as far as just how that does all play out. But he can do some things, and he can be an asset for Arizona. I'm curious to see exactly what he does, what he brings to the table. But I think there's a lot to like about him and what he can do. So we're obviously going to see that. I don't like him playing big minutes, but overall, I think this team can listen. It's definitely not going to be the team that I think some people were hoping, because there's just some players that have come in that are far too limited. But there are some realistic hopes for that. We're going to get into that in a second. But first, FanDuel, my friends. FanDuel, check it out. Okay, here's the deal with FanDuel. And where in the world did it go? All right, well, the overlay isn't there. I don't know exactly what happened. But either way, FanDuel, you can put down $5 and you can get $250 in free play. Oh, there it is. I apologize. You can put down $5 and you get $250 in free plays if that bet hits. That simple, that easy. Here's the deal with FanDuel, though. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, FanDuel is if you want to bet on sports in season, you want to bet on futures, you want to bet during a game, FanDuel is your one-stop shop. Check it out at FanDuel.com. Another one, you're going to thank me later on. You got the NBA, you got the NFL, you got college basketball, you got college football. It's all here. This is the best time of the year to hop on FanDuel at FanDuel.com. All right, again, check it out. FanDuel. If you're a new customer, got all kinds of goodies, as you know. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. Okay, now let's just talk a little bit about, where. Now listen, some of I think the expectations or the hopes for this team were probably a little overblown. My bad. There are certain things that this team just isn't going to be able to do. The front court of Awaka and Tonwsend is going to run into problems, mainly because against good teams, mainly because Tonwsend kind of isn't the player that I thought he would be. My fault. But there are some things though. If KJ Lewis plays to KJ Lewis's his abilities and his strengths, the KJ Lewis can be a 13-point, 4-rebound, 3-4 assist guy. He can do that. If Caleb Love plays to his strength, he can be an All-American. We've seen it. If you're Jaden Bradley, keep doing exactly what you're doing. That simple, that easy. That's something else. Now with the other thing too. The front court, then, I think you've got, like I said, I think the proverbial upside, I think, is much higher on the, on the back end for this team when it comes to, Henry Vasar and Emmanuel Steven, what exactly they can bring to the, table. We're going to find that one out. But when it comes to this team though, I still, again, it's not a national title contender, but I think they can still be a problem. I still think they can be a top 4 seed, top 5 seed if things come in, but it all comes back to Caleb Love. That's what I keep coming back to. It all comes back to Caleb Love. You need Caleb Love to be a monster. Caleb Love's a monster, then Arizona's going to win a lot of games. Caleb Love's not a monster, then Arizona's going to struggle to make the NCAA tournament. It's really that simple. I mean, it stinks that that's what you're coming down to, but that's what it's coming down to. Now, I would imagine that Tommy Lloyd has probably taken this season as a learning experience, and you're probably going to recruit in a different manner, and I think that you need to hit the ball out of the park. As we've talked about, you already got Dwayne Aristode, but you got to get Elijah Arenas, and you got to get Cole Pete. You got to get those 3 dudes, and you get in there, and I think that you're in probably a little bit better shape. But as far as the TCU game, and we're going to break that one down in detail, down in detail on Monday. You got to win this game. Not only do you have to win this game, you have to be able to win it. Then you go into Cincinnati, and you're like, okay. We did win at home and then share on the road, and then you're going to be in a lot better shape. So we got to. That's the deal, though. But that's kind of where Arizona basketball is right now. It's a very below the rim team, and that's an issue. But we'll find out exactly how this does play out. But this is like I said, I love I know that these teams that Arizona played stunk, but I love what I started to see from Caleb Love, and that to me is a big part of all of this. This is going to go as far as he takes it. All right, but like I said, on Monday, we're going to break down all the TCU stuff, all the game, everything that you need to know, because there's a lot that you need to know about all of that. And we're going to get back into football, obviously, as well. There's a lot of things to like about that. But as always, though, listen, back the A when we're good, back the A when we're bad. That's just the way that it is around here. That's just the way that it is. But as always, very much appreciate you all making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. Big 12 basketball play is here, my friends. Big 12 basketball players here. It's exciting. It's going to be fun to see how this all does play out. And again, it's a journey, marathon, not a sprint. So we're going to check all that out. But as always, appreciate you all, and we will be back with you Monday. TTFN, ta-ta for now, bear down, and back the A.